Okay, in video 2, we're going to continue talking about lines, but now we're going to switch from parallel lines to perpendicular lines. Parallel lines we know have the same slope. Perpendicular lines we talked a little bit about in the last video have opposite reciprocal slopes. Okay, and we need to remember what those are. If we look at this here, we can see these are two perpendicular lines. We have y equals 3x minus 1, and I have y equals negative 1/3 x minus 2. Take note at those slopes. I have 3 and I have negative 1/3. 3 and negative 1/3 are opposite reciprocals, which means if it's negative, it becomes positive. If it's positive, it becomes negative. And the reciprocal is when you flip the fraction, or the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so let's go through this. If I have a slope of one line of 5, that means the perpendicular slope is the opposite reciprocal. Since it's positive, it becomes negative. And since it's 5, we flip it and becomes 1/5. Okay, if I have a slope of 2/3, making it the perpendicular slope to make it opposite would be negative, and then flipping it would be 3/2. Perpendicular of negative 2/7, if it's negative, we make it positive, and then we flip it, so we'd have 7/2. We need to be able to do that in order to create equations of lines that are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so let's try an example. Find the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the line y equals negative 4x plus 2/3 that goes through the point 8, 5. So first thing we need to do is solve this equation for y, which it already is. So we get to skip that step, and then we identify the slope. The slope of this line is negative 4, which means the perpendicular slope is the opposite reciprocal. So I'm going to make it positive, and I'm going to flip the fraction. We'd say this would be negative 4/1 written as a fraction. So to flip it would be 1/4. So positive 1/4 is going to be the perpendicular slope. So now to find the equation of the line that goes through the point 8, 5 that is perpendicular, I have my y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to plug in my x, my y, and my perpendicular slope. So I have 5 equals 1/4 8 plus b. Now I have to simplify, and if you're not sure how to multiply or divide fractions or whatever, add and subtract, use a calculator. But this one's easy, because 1/4 times 8 is the same thing as 8 divided by 4. So I have 5 equals 2 plus b. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. 5 minus 2 is 3, so b equals 3. So the equation of the line that's perpendicular is going to be y equals, I'm going to use my perpendicular slope, 1/4 x, and my new y-intercept, plus, not b, excuse me, let's erase that. My new y-intercept is 3, so I need to use my new y-intercept. Okay, so now let's graph these two. I'm going to write those down before I go to graph. So I have y equals negative 4x plus 2/3. That's the first equation. And then my perpendicular line, y equals 1/4 x plus 3. Now, it's difficult sometimes to graph things with fractions, especially without a calculator, but let's go ahead and give it a shot. So I have to start at 0 2/3, which is going to be a little bit less than 1. It's going to be about right here. And my slope is negative 4, which means I'm going to go down 4/1. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4/1. So I'm about right here, and I'm going to connect those dots. And you can always use a calculator to graph these. And there we go. And the second one, I'm going to start at 0, 3, and I'm going to go up 1/4. So I'm going to start at 0, 3. Use a different color so you can see 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go up 1/4. Up 1, 2, 3, 4/4. Oop, I went over 3 on that one. Let's do that again. Up 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up 1/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. That's better. Now if you look, if I were to graph my lines perfectly, those would be a right angle, meaning they are perpendicular. Lines that intersect to form a right angle, we call them perpendicular. Let's try another one. Given the line 4x plus 2y equals 7 and the point 4, negative 2, find the line perpendicular to it that goes through this point. Okay, the directions should say that go through this point. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing I need to do is solve that for y. So I have 4x plus 2y equals 7. To solve for y, I'm going to subtract 4x. So I have 2y equals negative 4x plus 7. Divide by 2. So I have y equals negative 2 plus 7 over 2. Forgot my x. Negative 2x plus 7 over 2. What is the slope of this line? The slope is negative 2. And so what is the perpendicular slope? Flip it and make it opposite. So since it's negative, I'm going to have a positive, and I'm going to flip it, so it's going to be 1/2. So now I have to find the equation of my second line. I'm going to use y equals mx plus b. I'm going to use this for x and this for y, so it goes through that point. And I'm going to use this for my slope. So I have 1/2, x is 4, and y is negative 2. 1/2 or half of 4 is 2. Subtract 2 from both sides to solve for b. And I have negative 4 equals b. So the equation of my line that's perpendicular to that line is y equals, I'm going to use my perpendicular slope, 1/2, x, and then my new y-intercept, which is negative 4. And then I'm going to graph. So let's write those down so we can graph. So I have y equals negative 2x plus 7 over 2. And I have y equals 1/2 x minus 4. I'm going to start at 0, 7 over 2, which we talked about in the first video is just 3.5. And I have a slope of negative 2 over 1. So 3.5, so I have 1, 2, 3.5, which is about right here. And then I'm going to go down 2 over 1. 1, 2 over 1, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. So it looks something about like that. There we go. And then I have y equals 1/2 x minus 4. I'll make that a different color. So I have 0, negative 4, and my slope is 1/2, so I'm going to go up 1 over 2. 0, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, 1 over 2, and graph. And almost perfect, creates a perpendicular line. All right, now, special situations. Find the equation of a line that goes through the point 7, 1 and is perpendicular to the line x equals 2. Well, we have to remember x equals 2, what kind of slope does that line have? Undefined. So opposite reciprocal of undefined slope, or the opposite, well, think about it. If you have a line that is a vertical line at x equals 2, right? What is going to be perpendicular to that? A horizontal line. So we're going to have a line that's going to be horizontal somewhere. So let's think about that. It has to go through 7, 1. So I have x equals 2. I'll make that one red. We'll make it black. X equals 2 is going to be this line right here. And then my point is 7, 1, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And I want it to be perpendicular. So that means if I could draw the line, I know it would be this. But how do I know what the equation of that line is? Well, it's a horizontal line, so it has to be y equals. Well, what does y equal? This point is 7, 1. Y equals 1 is the equation of a line that's perpendicular to that one. Let's try that again. We'll use different colors. Find the equation of a line that goes through the point 7, 1 and is perpendicular to the line y equals negative 3. So we have the same point, but we have a different type of line. We're going to start at y equals negative 3, meaning it has 0 slope or a horizontal line. So y equals negative 3, we'll make that one green. 1, 2, 3. And it has to go through the point 7, 1, but be perpendicular to the green line. Okay, which will be this line right here. Well, what's the equation of a line with undefined slope that goes through the point 7, 1? It's going to be x equals 7. And we would say x equals 7. So for the first one, we'd say y equals 1. And this one, we would say x equals 7. And if you look, all I did was take the x value and the y value and write the equation. All right, go ahead and try perpendicular lines worksheet.